All right, I think we're all set. All right, this is Dr. D.A. Waite speaking, the director of the Bible for Today here at 900 Park Avenue, Collingswood, New Jersey. And on the other end of the telephone line, I have Mr. Victor Nischik, and he's from Munster, Indiana. How do you spell your name, Brother Nischik?
It's N like in Nelly, Nischik.
I-K, and you're living presently in Munster, Indiana, is that right?
I do.
Okay, I'd like to ask you what you might know concerning, I know you've written your book. Would you tell us about your book, first of all, what it's about and why you wrote it?
I'll be happy to. The book was basically an outgrowth of a detailed diary that I kept for the events that began to unfold in about 1984-85 when my mind got unscrambled regarding the Hyles situation in Hammond.
That's the ministry of Dr. Jack Hyles?
Dr. Jack Hyles, yes.
What is the title of that book again?
The book is called The Wizard of God. And it was condensed to basically discuss briefly my background, my involvement in the ministry of Jack Hyles and Hammond, and then the entrapment into this cultish mind control, which basically got me involved quite deeply in the ministry, and then the tragic, dissolution of my marriage and an eventual confrontation and my departure from First Baptist of Hammond in 1988. So,
1988, that's basically what that is.
Yes.
For our listeners who perhaps are not familiar with the book, how many years were you there at First Baptist of Hammond, and then how many years were you working very, very closely with Pastor Jack Hyles, approximately?
I met my wife while I was in the armed forces in Kansas, and through a series of events, we were married in Hammond by Jack Hyles, and I joined the church in 1961, the year that I was married, and I stayed very active in the ministry of First Baptist Church through 1988.
And what type of ministries did you have there? Were you just a tender, or were you?
I did just
a worker, or what?
I'm not an ordained minister. I did not go to Bible school, but I got involved in teaching Sunday school at first, and from there I went into the bus ministry, in which I was for 24 and a half years. I was on the deacon board. I was the choir director for nearly 5 years. I led the singing in the adults pastor's class, which is a Sunday school class prior to the morning service. I was probably the closest man privately to Jack Hyles, and I did a lot of financial and personnel evaluations for him, a lot of detailed background work. I also was on the pastoral staff for all those years, working the altar, dealing with the converts and participating in the baptismal and the ordination services, So I was pretty deeply involved in the whole phase of the ministry.
Now you say your background work for Pastor Jack Hyles. What does that involve? The background work.
It was I had a standing appointment with him every week, and we saw each other several times a week. I traveled with him. I did a lot of business-related work pertaining to evaluation of properties, the acquisition of land, and things like a camp that the church operated. I was involved in placement of preacher boys from Hyles Anderson College into the ministry. I was involved in the evaluation and the background investigation of potential employees and workers in the Sunday school department and that sort of thing. So I was sort of the eyes and the ears of Jack Hyles in monitoring the operations, of this far-flung ministry.
Did he have respect to you and confidence in you for those years that you were there?
Well, sir,
basically?
I probably was the closest man to him, and I knew the inner workings of the church quite intimately.
So he would have confidence in you. He wasn't suspicious
so,
of you through the years, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, I was one of the few people that I could call the church, and of course there is a reason for all this closeness.
What is that reason?
The reason is that I had a problem in my marriage because my wife, having been on staff all those years, got emotionally and ultimately sexually involved with Jack Hyles.
You say sexually involved, that included adultery as far as...
Yes,
you have,
I categorically accuse him of adultery.
You have, what sort of evidence do you have on that you might share with our listeners?
Being the husband of the wife, and also what my children and I saw, and also from what Jack Hyles personally told me. He basically admitted to me as early as 1971 that he was emotionally involved with her. At the same time, he had no relationship of any sort with his own wife Beverly all those years, and they slept apart, and so in my heart and mind, I have no doubt. Just to illustrate the point, in 1970, Jack Hyles took all the staff people on a cruise to the Caribbean, husbands and wives, and in those days, my wife and I and Beverly Hyles and Jack Hyles were inseparable socially, foursome. We always were together. And on the cruise ship, Jenny, my wife, was assigned the job of tour director, and after the festivities and the dinners in the dining halls, Jack and Jenny would retire to plan next day's activities, and I would not see my wife until the next morning. And I found out in subsequent years that Beverly Hyles also did not see her husband until the next morning while on the cruise. So somewhere in the bowels of a big cruise ship, those two managed to spend evenings and nights together. And
you don't believe that they were just going over books?
No, I don't believe they were going to, simply because my wife withdrew all affection and all contact with me for all those years.
At about that time, about 1970 or something?
Somewhere in there, yes.
Yeah. And what was Jeannie's job on the books, at least? What has been her work there with Jack Hyles? Is she still employed by him now? Or?
Yeah, initially when she was hired part-time to do some work with the membership, being a membership secretary. And then a few years later, she was assigned the job as director of Hyles Publication, and she was moved to an adjacent office to Jack Hyles with that dubious and notorious secret door between their offices.
Would you explain for our listeners what that secret door entailed and how that structure was designed in his office and her office?
Well, the office, Jack Hyles' office, is in the corner of the office complex. It's in the northeast corner. To the right of it is Jenny's office, and to the left of it, at a 9-degree angle, is the original office of the church secretary. When Jenny moved, and all these offices, from the secretary's office to Jack Hyles' office to Jenny's office, and from there to the receptionist's office, and there were several clusters of offices alongside each other. They were all interconnected with a door. Well, when Jenny moved into her...
They had an outside door and a connecting door.
I see. So there was an internal... there was a door to the hallway, and also each office was interconnected by a door all the way through the whole series of offices.
I see. How many offices would that have been, roughly?
I would guess probably a string of about 6 or 7 of them.
6 or 7, okay.
And so when Jenny moved in, the connecting door between Jack Hyles and his secretary was permanently sealed. So that that door was closed.
That is former secretary.
That is correct.
Was permanently sealed.
Permanently sealed. Also, Jenny's door to the receptionist was sealed.
I see. So no longer were these 6 or 7 interconnected.
No longer were these doors, 6 or 7 offices interconnected.
About what year would that have been?
I venture to guess it was in the early 70s.
Did you see these sealed doors? Is that a known thing in the church?
It was a known factor because I knew, for example, Sandy Plopper, who was his office, his secretary.
Sandy Plopper?
Plopper, that's with a P.
P-L-O?
Yeah, P-L-O-P-P-E-R.
I see.
And
she was a secretary?
She was a secretary at the time, and when her door, direct door to the pastor, was sealed, she no longer had direct access. And not only that, but she was, from that day until she resigned several years later, she never set foot inside Jack Hyles' office. She was permanently sealed or kept from even physically entering. The only communication she had with the pastor was him coming to her office and doing his correspondence, and then communicating by the intercom.
I see. Did he lock his outside door usually, or
always? And so the one door that was between Jenny's office and the pastor's study was kept, but it was camouflaged.
I see. How was it camouflaged?
Okay, it was camouflaged 2 ways. His office was paneled. In other words, dark mahogany or walnut. I don't remember the exact grain of the paneling. His office was paneled, and the contractor who was doing it was asked and told to put paneling and over the door to make it look, there was a doorknob, but to make it look like there was one solid wall there. And there was a picture hung on the door. From Jenny's side, there was a drape that was hung the full length of the wall. I venture perhaps 3 or 4 feet away from the wall, and it covered the full length of her office. And that drape concealed storage cabinets and file cabinets, and there was a safe there, but also concealed the door. So that the average visitor to her office would not be aware that there was any connection between the two of them. And of course, the doors were, both doors to the outside, to the hallway, had deadbolts. And Sandy Plopper, she stayed on for, I'm guessing, a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years after this arrangement. A little red light was connected to her telephone. And when that little red light came on, she was forbidden to have to make any contact with Jenny or with Jack Hyles. In other words, she could not buzz him on a telephone. She could not interfere. One time, she told me that the president of the local bank came for a courtesy visit, and she broke the standing rule and buzzed him, and never fully recovered from the wrath that she incurred for doing so. And so again, when you have a man and a woman not married to each other with a private door, which is concealed, spending days on end together behind locked doors, I would say is rather positive proof that there was more than just professional, goings on.
Were there windows in those outside doors by any chance? Or glasses at all? Glass?
No. These were solid
doors.
No. There was no porthole. There was no way to see what was going on.
So, how many hours a day did these two spend in this arrangement?
Well,
would you guess?
On some days, they spent as many as 8 to 10 hours there behind closed doors. And as long as the little red light stood, stayed lit on the telephone, there was no one was permitted.
How long would you say did Mrs. Plopper estimate, Sandy Plopper, that these would stay lit. Did she have any guess that how many? What was it? A matter of a few minutes, a quarter of an hour, half an hour, 2 hours, or what would you say would be a guess?
Sometime that little light stayed on for the whole day.
Is that right?
Oh yes. One incident happened that was so graphic in its bizarre arrangement. Is my daughter Judy one time had an accident on the playground and she broke her arm.
Uh-huh.
And the teachers called the school, to get Jenny to come and give her medical assistance. And they could not get through for hours. And my daughter sat in the nursing room with a broken arm for possibly 4 or 5 hours, if not longer, until finally, somebody was able to get Jenny's attention and get her out of the office and have her come and take care of her daughter's, broken arm. So that's how secretive and how totally concealed that situation was.
Has he ever admitted this arrangement in any publication or in any sermon at all?
Oh, no. He has denied consistently that door doesn't even exist.
Uh-huh. What, did they have any arrangements in either room? By the way, before I ask that, did she also have this red light privilege? In other words, when the red light was on, neither party, the secretary couldn't interrupt either party, buzz either group. Is that either the Jack Hyles or Jenny?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I doubt that that light was in Jenny's room. That light was only in Sandy Plopper's office.
Uh-huh. But what I mean is, when that light was on, I see what you mean, but she couldn't, what I meant to say, maybe I phrased it wrong, Sandy Plopper, the secretary, could not buzz or interrupt either Jenny or Jack Hyles?
That is correct.
I see. Okay. Now, in the rooms, either the office, Jenny's office or Jack Hyles' office, was there any Davenport bed, sleeping accommodations that would make it simple to have sexual relations and adulterous relations, as far as you know?
Yes, sir. The furniture in the pastor's study had living room furniture.
Uh-huh.
For his counseling. There was a rather commodious couch and a chair, and there was a television set and a refrigerator and a little dinette, dinette area for fixing meals. So all the amenities of a home were there.
Uh-huh. So this would be very simple to maintain sexual relations and adulterous relations on that commodious couch.
Well,
if that were the desire.
Dr. Waite, it removed the danger of having to check into a motel or anywhere for privacy.
Yes.
The pastor study served a purpose.
Now, during this time, your relations with your wife, Mrs. Nischik, Jenny, there, had ceased, or were they continuing? Your sexual relations there?
Mine?
Yes.
My sexual relationship with my wife ended in 1970.
And that was at the contemporaneous with the...
Well, it was request on her part, where she came to me and she told me that she was so involved and so deeply involved in the ministry that there was no room for any marital. So that was on her part. And you've got to understand that we're dealing here with a David Koresh type mind control.
Uh-huh.
Jack Hyles came to me and in tears told me one day that that Jenny was just absolutely irreplaceable to him, and that she was his inspiration. And then he confided in me several things of a rather personal nature. One was that because of the travels around the country and the jet lag and everything else, that has rendered him impotent. Well, I found that to be a rather strange statement to come from a pastor and unsolicited, and I believe that was done to alleviate any anxieties that I might have that they had sexual relationship.
Uh-huh. Do you believe he was lying through his teeth at that point?
I have no doubt in my mind that he was lying. He also told his wife the same thing to alleviate her anxiety.
Uh-huh.
And then also...
Okay, go ahead.
And then also, Dr. Waite, he put his arm around me, and he had this knack of being able to cry tears spontaneously. And he would cry, and he would say, Vic, he said, you're the only man on God's earth that truly understands me, because you're the only man that lives the way I do. I live in the basement, too. I don't have any relationship with my wife. I have odd hours, and I don't want to disturb her, so I have a room down in the basement. And that made it, in my mind, thinking, he used to always talk about this this Nazarite vow, that there was the Old Testament as being a commitment to God's service, which precluded any pleasures of having, the companionship of a wife. And so he brainwashed me into believing that in order to fully serve God, you would have this abandonment of the marital bed and the relationship and the affection to a wife was necessary to be set aside. So he used himself as an example to convince me that what I was doing was doing God a big favor.
Was Mrs. Hyles, Beverly Hyles, also celibate for these years? In other words, did she in any way corroborate to you that the sexual relations between him and her ceased at a certain point in their lives? Have you been able to talk with her or corroborate at all with Mrs. Hyles on that?
In 1985, Dr. Waite, when through a series of events that I have rather extensively written in my book, God led me and forced me literally to take a job with the Moody Bible Institute. And through a series of events, my eyes were opened. And in 1985, I was led to, with the children safely out of the house. They were, incidentally, the main reason of my staying. I could not bring myself to turn them over into the ministry, which I knew was flawed all along. So in 1985, I confronted him. We had a big, stormy 7-hour standoff.
How many hours?
7 hours.
7 hours. In his office?
In his office.
With any red lights on the secretary's phone or not?
It was in the evening, so we started at 6:30, and we went almost till 1 o'clock in the morning, if not later. But it was just a lengthy standoff. And I basically demanded my wife back, and I basically demanded that the relationship cease. And, of course, he denied everything. And I told him that if he in any way damaged or caused my marriage to be dissolved, I still wanted my wife back. I still wanted to try to establish a relationship, however flawed it was. And I told him that if he didn't cooperate, I was going to go and talk to Beverly Hyles. And I did that. And that's when he basically made that notorious statement to me that if you want to have the same relationship with Beverly that I have with Janet, you have my permission. In other words, he basically offered his wife to me.
To have sex with you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He didn't care.
So how long did you talk to Beverly Hyles, his wife?
We talked for a number of Saturdays. Our house was only three houses away from the Hyles parsonage. We lived right around the corner from them. And I spent a number of Saturdays in September and October of 1985 with her in the living room, and we talked, talked extensively. So I know firsthand that she had lived a celibate life, too.
I see. Did she have any explanation for his actions? Did she also believe that there was adultery and sexual relations on his part with your wife? Did she have any statement?
She knew about the relationship, and she was quite concerned about it. And but Beverly Hyles, again, Jack Hyles had an uncanny ability to control people. And the way he controlled her behavior was through fear of possibly being consigned to an institution, and she was just scared to death of it, so she was afraid to do anything about the bizarre situation.
What, in other words, to an insane asylum? Would he have that power? Do you feel?
Well, she, with the money and with the with the power that he possessed, money will buy anything.
All it takes is 2 doctors, isn't it?
And all it takes is 2 doctors, and there were a number of doctors, and still are in the church there, that are totally loyal to him. So it wouldn't take much to be able to carry out the threat. And that's how he managed to control her over.
So she's never gone public with that.
No, she never did, and to this day, neither Jenny Nischik nor Beverly Hyles has made no attempt to deny the allegation or in any way make any comments about it. They both have been totally silent on the whole debacle. And
their silence does not necessarily mean that there has been no adultery on Jack Hyles and Jenny Nischik's part. Is that correct?
Well,
the silence does not.
The silence. I've told people around the country that one way to remove any shadow of doubt that there was no adultery is for Beverly Hyles and Jenny Nischik to embrace each other and stand behind the pulpit and deny that there was anything involved. And neither one has done that. In fact, both women have been totally silent. They have had no communication with each other. They don't speak to each other, and they have no contact whatsoever.
Is this public interview on our tape recorder here by phone going to get Beverly Hyles in trouble, do you think?
I don't think so.
In other words, this is something that you are testifying to, what you know concerning...
I'm testifying to what I know, and I have not been afraid of the truth, and Beverly Hyles' silence is very damnable because she knows what he is, and she knows what has been going on between Beverly and Jack, and her silence has contributed to the cover-up.
How long were these sessions that you visited with her and discussions and so on? You said it was in September and October on Saturdays, 1985, was it, or just September? I forget what you said.
Dr. Waite, my mind is hazy.
Yeah, but in that general area.
But I would say there were probably 4 or 5, several telephone conversations, but I think there were about 4 or 5 lengthy face-to-face meetings in her home.
Would you say how many hours it would be each of those 4 or 5 occasions?
Oh, maybe a dozen hours altogether.
Is that right? A dozen altogether. In any of the conversations that you had with her during these dozen hours, was there anything else that you might be free to say to our listeners concerning what you found out concerning Jack Hyles' habits, his background, his sexual interests, etc., etc.?
A lot what I know about Jack Hyles' personal sexual appetites and whatever, he has shared with me a lot over the years because we traveled together, we went out for breakfast together, and he testified to all this. This is a matter of deposition, so it's not, this can be all substantiated. I spent countless of hours with him. And a lot of the conversations, especially his marital and sexual counseling, is extremely explicit.
In what way do you mean that?
To the point of counseling with ladies about unusual positions and unusual means of having sex,
including oral sex as well as
yes, including
regular sex.
These things which are not the normal sexual activity between a husband and a wife. In my case, being a man, he counseled, he confided to me a lot about how he made love to his wife. He very graphically described how he made love to his wife and what his preferences were, and also I also learned from there that they've had problems. I find it so ironic that in the reply that Jack Hyles wrote to the articles in the Biblical Evangelist, he made the statement there that Jenny and I have had problems from day one of our marriage. I happen to know that Jack Hyles himself has had major problems from day one with his marriage. He has acknowledged that on their honeymoon they were taking a train out of Dallas, and he only bought one ticket. In other words, he always made his wife feel humiliated and neglected, and for 20 years in the 70s and the 80s. Beverly Hyles was an unknown commodity at the church. She was never acknowledged publicly. She was never referred to in the sermon. She was like a non-person. And so she was totally neglected. And
how did she get to Dallas or out of Dallas? Did you get another ticket at the last minute, or
a good question? But it was one of those humiliating things.
She just was left behind, or what?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know the details?
I don't know. A lot of things Jack Hyles did on purpose, and I wonder sometimes if it wasn't just to humiliate her and to beat her into submission, because Beverly Hyles was at one time, a free spirit and sort of had a personality of her own, but in recent years she has been beaten into total submission, and she is now totally under his control.
Now you say problems from day one. Any other problems that you know about in his honeymoon situation?
Well, I know of some things that they've had arguments over how to have sex and whatever, and there's some things that she just didn't feel led to submit to. So,
what sort of sexual demands did he make upon her?
Waite, I respectfully would just
just in general on that
public, I would defer from that from making any comments, but I will let the listener draw his own conclusions, and I think anybody can make some rational conclusions. But there were difficulties.
Where do you suppose he got these strange and bizarre requests and desires, etc., in regard to his bride?
Well, again, we can go to the one source that is probably the most reliable on all this are his own sermons. And I know, for example, he talks forever about driving through and parking in the red light district in Dallas. And,
he says about that. What is he doing in the red light district?
Well, he claims to have been going to visit somebody in the Baylor Hospital, and I also, he was in the service. He was with the paratroopers, and I also know that he has admitted from the pulpit, and it's a matter of record, that he has read magazines like Sexology magazine, and he had people give him certain copies of Playboy magazine for one thing or another. And so I believe that, and this is quoting from his sermons, that he has indeed been involved with pornographic material.
Has this pornographic material, do you think, influenced him in other ways, in addition to merely his own marriage, or beginning his marriage? How long do you think he has been influenced by this pornography?
Well, probably all his life, because he's always been a loner. He fits the profile of a man who travels a lot, spends countless of hours, in a motel room, and not having a normal relationship with his spouse. And I happen, for example, I happen to know that his television set in his study is wired for cable. So I know that he has the availability,
and not just the normal cable, but also the
that is correct.
HBO and whatever you call those other sex cable stuff.
All those
the filthy stuff.
Yeah, whatever.
Not just the cable TV and cable news and all.
Yes, and what gives me a suspicion that he was deeply involved in this thing is the bizarre and the depraved way that he counseled people with marital problems. One of his he was extremely talked a lot from the pulpit about incest. He talked about it being a horrible sin. He talked about how fathers drilled holes in the walls of their bedroom to view their daughters dressing and undressing, and that gave people the ideas on how to get into this kind of a bizarre behavior.
Uh-huh.
He had some very strange, and I was with him on the wedding days of his daughters when he would talk about graphically to me about what that young man is going to do to their daughter. Well, this is your own flesh and blood, and I always thought it was rather bizarre that a father would graphically discuss not only his own personal sex life, but that of his children. How
many daughters does he have?
He has 3 daughters.
I see.
So a behavior like that, is, and I've talked to a number of ladies that have had failed marriages, and I know the very sensuous and the very seductive and the very graphic way that Jack Hyles dealt with marriage problems, and the solutions to it were straight out of Sexology magazine or something similar to that.
What are the names of his daughters? And I think, does he have one son?
He has one son, Dave, and he has 3 daughters: Becky, Linda, and Cindy.
Becky, Linda, and Cindy. How old would each of those be presently, if you know?
Dr. Waite, I would not venture to guess.
You don't know?
They were all. Jack Hyles came here in '58. Cindy was Beverly was carrying Cindy when they came here. She was born in Indiana, so she was born probably 59. So that makes her 60, 90, 30, 34 years old. And I think Becky, the oldest one, is probably approaching late 40s. She's the oldest one, and Dave must be about 42, and Linda is in there somewhere. But
yeah, just a general idea. So they're right now presently very mature.
Oh yes,
and so on.
Oh yes.
So the family, what has been their fruit or the fruitage of Jack Hyles' family? You've described somewhat of his wife, control, and so on. Do you know something of David's life? He's been caught in many different things. Would you just describe to our listeners something of David, and then maybe
again, the sad thing about Jack Hyles' ministry is the pain and the suffering that his children have, and the grief and the immorality that has permeated his own family.
Before you go into the situation with Dave Hyles, you mentioned that many times he would go ahead in the pulpit and talk about how horrible incest is, et cetera, fathers in relation to their daughters. Do you feel that he himself has committed incest with any of his daughters of any kind?
I have no definite proof, but there are some things that having been so close to the family, I know that there are a lot of questions that remain unanswered, and I know at least I know that the children have been neglected by their father. Dave had hardly any time with his dad. His dad never came one time to see him play in any of the high school basketball games. I saw Dave Hyles shoot baskets for hours at the house, walk the streets at night, and he was a very lonely and a very lonely young man, reaching out for his dad, and his dad just didn't have any time for him. And so when he went on staff, he basically tried to keep stride for stride with his dad. He tried to build the biggest youth ministry, and he got into publications, and he started traveling, and he started promoting youth conferences and whatever. And he started writing books and selling tapes and everything. And in this great, sincere desire to try to please his dad, he just burned out.
When did his adultery and fornication and sexual episodes begin, Dave Hyles?
They began at age 14.
Age 14.
And again, it was for attention, and it was a lonely boy. And I have a lot of compassion for Dave because he was with me on the bus route, and I employed him when he was a teenager. I was in computers, and he did some computer work for me, and he was a very diligent worker, but he was a very lonely boy. And the family, so David basically went into sin in junior high school.
And what, with just one individual, or several, or scores of the girls, or what would you estimate?
The membership of First Baptist Church is dotted with daughters of our families that have been sexually violated over the years. I mean, there's just no count.
By David Hyles, Jack's son. Would you have a rough estimate? Would it be in the 10s, the 20s, the 30s? I mean, what rough?
Dr. Waite, it will be in the hundreds.
In the hundreds?
I have no question about it.
My, oh my. Now, did Jack Hyles, the father, know of this? Was it ever brought to his attention?
He knew about it, and people will tell you. People would bring evidence in. He would take the evidence and tell him that he'd take care of it, and he would not. I've gone to him countless times, warning him about his son, and his comment would be, "Well, boys will be boys, and I appreciate you telling me. Just keep telling. He can give me the information and whatever, and I'll take care of it." And he never did. And simply because the Hyles children all knew, and Dr. Sumner, in one of his articles recently in the Biblical Evangelist, made reference to the fact that one of his daughters confirmed that the accuracy of the Sumner articles and my book and Boyle Glover's Fundamental Seduction were basically essentially correct.
Which daughter would that have been? If you recall. Which daughter would that have been, if you recall?
Or
didn't he mention the daughter?
Not mention. And
I see.
I know who she is, but
yeah.
I need to...
Better not, yeah. Okay, well, you don't answer any more than you want, because this is a public discussion and interview.
I have certain things, and I still, may I say for the record, that I have nothing but love and compassion for the Hyles children.
Yes, now...
I was their legal guardian, assigned guardian, in case something happened to Dr. and Mrs. Hyles. So I knew the children very, very well, all of them.
Now, have any of the girls gone into sexual immorality, fornication, adultery, sin of that kind, or just Dave? Basically.
No. There's been the only one that's definite. Becky, the oldest one, has a husband who has a proven track record of adultery. I don't know. Becky is the oldest one, and she was gone for a number of years, so I do not know. But Linda was married to Johnny Murphy, and Linda, through a series of events that I discussed several years ago in a meeting, got involved with a certain gentleman, and she's divorced now from Johnny, and she is currently, I believe, employed by Liberty University and Dr. Jerry Falwell in Lynchburg.
I see.
And Cindy, the youngest one, is married to Jack Kopp, who is one of the vice presidents of Hyles Anderson College, and she's the only one that currently lives in this area. And all children have had difficulties. That's all I'm going to say. They've had some adjustments that were difficult. So, but officially and for the record, Dave Hyles is in his second marriage, and Linda is divorced from her husband, Johnny Murphy.
Oh, I see. Now, the second marriage of Jack Hyles' son, David Hyles, I have been told has been not too savory from the sexual standpoint. Is it true that you found out their advertisements in various sex journals and magazines, etc.? Well, and if so, would you tell our listeners what you know about that situation?
Okay, Brenda, Dave Hyles, when his troubles became too obvious here in Hammond, his daddy shipped him out to his former pastorate in Garland, the Miller Road Baptist Church.
What was it, Miller Road?
Miller Road Baptist Church in Garland, Texas. This is the church from which Jack Hyles came to Hammond. So his son took over the ministry in the 80s, and Brenda and her husband were school teachers for the Christian school at Miller Road Baptist Church. And it didn't take long for Dave Hyles to get involved with as many as 14 or 15 women, according to Paula, his first wife. And one of them was Brenda, and so the marriage, the first union was separated, and
his first wife's name was what?
Paula.
Paula, yes.
And so he cohabitated with Brenda. In fact, he came when he was booted out of Garland for his sexual escapades. He came back to Hammond, Indiana, and he lived and cohabitated with his Brenda woman, and eventually married her. And there she had 2 children from her previous marriage, and I think they have 1 or 2 children now. And
is one of the children from her previous marriage died under questionable circumstances?
That is correct.
Maybe some have thought that he beat him to death. Is that what in Brother
matter of
Royal Glover's depiction of that? Is that a possible inference?
And also, it's quite extensively covered in a documentary television series that was run on a Detroit television station. And the boy died of mysterious circumstances, and it's an open case of a homicide that the investigator for the Illinois Department of Family and Children Family Services maintains is a definite murder case, and that was stated publicly. So there's been the children have been abused.
So they are still together now. What is their connection with this pornography or whatever you call it?
While here in Hammond, Dave got into the insurance business, and he would sell annuity policies and that sort of thing for one of the insurance companies. And one way, and his sales force was essentially recruited from within the student body of Hyles Anderson College. And I have heard story after story after story that one way to entrapment would be to invite them socially, and in the process of time end up, with swapping husbands and wives, and Brenda performing certain sexual favors on prospective salesmen.
Would that include oral sex?
That would include it all. Yes, sir.
All of it.
All of it. And from that, it evolved into this horrible sin of advertising each other, with full view of all the merchandise in these swinger magazines. In
other words, complete naked poses and so on.
Absolute total nakedness.
And Brenda's picture was in those porno magazines?
Brenda's picture was in numerous times, and what it was is that some of the husbands of these violated women that happened during this activity with this insurance company took time to investigate some of these swinger magazines, and they were found to be in national publications and also in local publications where they would advertise, where Brenda's merchandise was all basically on display, and
did they get paid for this? Do you know? Or
well, I don't know how these people operated. I think probably it was just for sport. They would invite couples of like preferences, to have discreet kind of liaison with each other.
And were Dave's picture also pictures there? Not just Brenda.
Yes, there was one that he never showed his face. But other certain body parts were displayed. Allegedly, they were his, but basically it was Brenda's picture. But in all these ads that accompanied these things, it always made reference to the husband and the wife. So it was both spouses were involved in this sort of sordid behavior. And so this thing was uncovered. And to make a long story short, in 1991 during pastor school, there was a story that was leaked purposely that Royal Glover and I and others have printed these pictures in a booklet form, and we were going to distribute them to the delegates of the pastor school. And Jack Hyles came out when he heard it, he panicked, and in a Sunday sermon basically admitted that his son was a total reprobate and shipped him out of town. And Dave Hyles is currently employed by the Christian Law Association and Dr. David Gibbs. And,
why on earth would they employ that monster?
Well, because Dr. Waite, because birds of a feather flock together. There's some business or other inseparable relationship between Jack Hyles and David Gibbs, which gives rise to a suspicion that there may be something more than just a legal lawyer and client relationship.
You mean, could this be homosexual conduct, you mean? Or
Dr.
could it be
Waite,
fellow adulterers?
I don't
know.
I could not even begin to venture. The fundamentalist movement today is into pedophile behavior with children, so that has already gone beyond Romans chapter 1 and homosexuality. It's gone beyond homosexuality. It's behavior that's not even listed by Paul in the first chapter of Romans, so I would not begin to guess. But the fact is that David Hyles is working now for Dr. David Gibbs, and from what my sources tell me, the sexual activity in these swinger magazine advertisements have gone right on.
There's been no let-up, even though he's working for this Christian law.
That's what my sources tell me.
Sources tell you.
Even though in a recent sermon, Jack Hyles, in tears, told his people that David Gibbs had told him that David has done so well spiritually that on a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 12.
Oh, my.
So that's a matter of public utterances.
Yes. Now, one of the charges that Jack Hyles made against you, if you recall, was that you were an adulterer or almost close to that with some other woman in the church. What brought him to bring this charge up to you? I believe that was in the TV thing that he had a little squib. I forget the place.
Dr. Waite, the only defense that Jack Hyles had is to tarnish my reputation. And to make it a his word versus my word kind of a situation. And of course, I'm a little nobody, and he's a great leader on whose shoulders all of fundamentalism rests.
According to him, anyway.
So he set out to totally shred my character, and I was accused of wanting to run off with a woman and wanting to. That I entertained some beautiful lady in my house, and that I had all these questionable behaviors, in places that I worked, and also, quite explicitly that I was homosexual. So apparently he basically accused me of being a bisexual. And unfortunately for him, none of these. He did not come up with one tangible witness to all these allegations.
What woman's name did he mention that you were supposed to be romantically involved with? Did he mention any names?
He did not mention anybody's name.
No names at all?
No names at all.
Just innuendo?
Just innuendos, and also he claimed early, in 1989, when the Sumner articles came out, he boasted that he could bring this lady that I was allegedly wanted to run off with, and she would testify. Well, he never brought her forth. But what is not known is that the lady was contacted, and this lady lives in this area, and this could be substantiated by a simple telephone call. This woman was contacted. She moved to Tennessee, and she was a lady that worked for me, a single lady, and Jack Hyles tracked her down in 1989 when the Sumner articles came out, and gave her an offer of total financial security for the rest of her life if she would come to First Baptist Church and testify falsely against me from behind the pulpit, and she refused to do that.
Can her name be made public?
I prefer not to unless I would get her permission.
I see. All right.
I have referred to her in my book by the initials. this story can be substantiated by Attorney Glover, because he has talked to the lady. She moved back to this area, and she has been approached a number of occasions to again come before the congregation of First Baptist Church and testify against me, but she refused to do that. And
what was she supposed to accuse you of? Adultery,
well,
or
basically the allegation that we had an adulterous affair, and that we were going to run off.
I see.
Well, the truth is, Dr. Waite, is that Jack Hyles had the woman in his office and counseled her, and pleaded with her to become my mistress because my marriage had fallen apart, and become that his biblical examples of this kind of relationship was Barak and Deborah in the book of Judges. And also, of course, the David Jonathan kind of a relationship. In other words, that close friendship. And so he pleaded with her to seduce me or to sleep with me, because he was working, feverishly to get me involved with somebody else, because by then his own relationship with my wife was going full blast.
Have you ever talked to this woman recently?
I've talked to her a number of occasions. I've talked to her face to face.
And what does she say? What is her attitude towards you? Does she?
Well, she's my friend. She left shortly. She was totally devastated, and she left. And one of the sweetest things to me was that she, in tears, she said she did not understand what was going on. She said, I could not understand why Jack Hyles would force and try to force me into an adulterous affair.
Was she married at the time?
No, she's never been married.
Never been married?
No.
About how old a lady is she?
She's probably now in her early 40s. And she told me, and this is so sweet. And
how old are you, by the way?
I'm in my late 50s.
Late 50s. Okay, go ahead.
And
she said what now?
One of the sweetest things that came out of the conversation is that in tears, she said to me that she said, knowing what she knows now and having read my book and having read all the material, she said she wishes now that she would have just stayed at my side, in a sweet Christian way. There was never anything between us. And for the record, Dr. Waite, I have challenged countless preachers around the country to put me on the polygraph. I never. You just wire me. I'd be happy. With one exception now, since the reply that Dr. Hyles shredded my character, I insist that if I take a polygraph test, that Jack Hyles take one too. Simply because he dumped on me all these allegations, and I would insist.
In other words, you'd take a polygraph if he would too. Both, yeah.
I would be
mutual polygraph test.
Yes, I would be happy to do it.
Now, you said in your book you referred to the lady by initials. What initials do you refer to?
JL.
JL. Are those real ones or false?
Those are real.
Real initials. We're getting to the end of our first side of our interview tape, 1 hour. It's now been 58 or 59 minutes. Would you pause, Brother Nischik, while I turn the tape over?
Sure.
Okay, just let me do that. Okay, this is the continuation of the interview with Mr. Vic Nischik, who is in Munster, Indiana, and I am Dr. D.A. Waite, Director of the Bible for Today here at 900 Park Avenue, Collingswood, New Jersey. And right now, the time is 10:10 p.m., the 19th of June, Saturday evening, 1993. And we're talking about the situation with Jack Hyles and Vic Nischik's relationship with him over the many years. All right, Brother Vic, would you please tell our listeners something concerning the subject you mentioned earlier about the proliferation of pedophile activity among the fundamentalists and pastors and preachers and others, individuals in our Christian churches? What evidence do you have in regard to that subject and theme?
Well,
it's quite a shocking theme.
Again, Dr. Waite, we're dealing with God in His mercy has given the believers of our nation ample warning of these plagues that are coming, And the most graphic one that happened in the last several weeks is the David Koresh situation. And where children have been prepared for being the brides of David Koresh, where men were loyal, fiercely loyal to him, and died for him, and were required by David Koresh to live a celibate life, while David Koresh slept with the wives and impregnated them, and they bore his children for him. The whole, what this basically is an example of is the cultish mind control. And this is something that believers in America and the general public has a difficult time understanding, because this being a free democratic society with freedoms and liberties that are guaranteed by the Constitution, people find it incomprehensible that there would be mind control exercised in America, but there is.
Do you think Jack Hyles is a partisan controller in this?
And Jack Hyles is the ultimate. He is the guru. He is the mastermind of this mind control and this tightly secretive cultish mentality that exists. You have to understand, Dr. Waite, that for 30 years Jack Hyles conducted pastor school, and many of the men that have been discredited in the ministry, namely the Jimmy Swaggers and the Jimmy Bakers, and people of that caliber, the Jerry Falwells, and all the other great leaders of this nation, in and out of the Baptist denominational association, have come to pastor school. And have seen in pastor school where Jack Hyles paraded little teenage girls and showed them off to the men and saying, "Wouldn't you like to touch these beautiful bodies?" And created an atmosphere of lust towards the children. This is very graphically discussed in the documentary that came out of the series of television programs in Michigan. So
are you able to send that documentary to us here at the Bible for Today?
I put it in the mail today, Dr. Waite.
Excellent. We're able to share this with our friends and people.
You're certainly free to do whatever you want to. I would just ask that you return the copy, because the loaner that.
Yes, sir. I'll be right, but I'm able to copy it and return
You're free to do
okay.
There's no copyright. In fact, the people have encouraged that this be distributed as widely as possible.
We certainly will do our very best. Would you say it was an acceptably done documentary?
It was a very well documented and with an ample number of witnesses, and very professionally done, and like in so many other ways. The one witness that indicted Jack Hyles more than any other witness is Jack Hyles himself, with his big mouth. So anyhow,
would this be libelous, slanderous? What any attorney's opinions about it at all?
Well,
what was the radio or TV station that aired it in Detroit?
Yeah, it was aired in Detroit, Dr. Waite, and the thing that you've got to understand about Jack Hyles, he has intimidated a lot of people. He has intimidated the networks from running this series with the fear of a lawsuit. But what people don't realize is that Jack Hyles will never sue anybody for libel.
Why is that?
Because he has more. He has a closet full of skeletons, and in a lawsuit. The defense attorney has every right and every opportunity to do a discovery and to subpoena any records or anything that might be,
germane and pertinent to the case.
So yes, anything pertaining to telephone calls and financial records and that sort of thing, and if anybody, if there would have been a lawsuit, it would have been against Dr. Sumner or against me and the allegations that I have made.
Or maybe Royal Glover, perhaps.
Royal Glover
yes.
and others. But
he's an attorney. He's an attorney himself, and I guess he wasn't worried about that.
Yes, and the people in Michigan the attorneys, were given the material. And
which attorneys now? The station?
For the station.
Which station was that again?
WJBK.
WJB is in boy?
Yes.
K, okay. Well, that's up out of Detroit.
It's a CBS affiliate in Detroit, Michigan.
CBS. Do you know whether any other CBS stations carried it?
It was carried by satellite, and a lot of independent, a number of independent networks carried it.
That was once a week for 6 days, or once a day, or what?
Yes. It was the special, the lead story, and on the evening newscast.
For 6 days in a row.
For 6 days in a row. Yes, sir. It's a little bit. I think it's about an hour, a little bit more in duration. All the segments put together.
Now, what is the nature of this? It's basically the pedophile activity of fundamentalists?
There are several, and it all begins basically. One of the things that I have been trying to get the Christian community to be made aware of is that Jack Hyles' ministry has enough truth and enough sincerity to make it credible. And one of the ministries that has been the most successful is the bus ministry. And the bus ministry is great if it's done right, but it is an open license for anything imaginable because you go into homes and these are mostly the neighborhoods are mostly poor, and the children are very vulnerable. They come from broken homes and very vulnerable for affection. For years, for all my 24 and a half years in the bus ministry, we were always encouraged to be the surrogate parent, to show love and show affection and give hugs and kisses and show love to these children. And when you have a society which suppresses outwardly any form of sexual behavior among young people, where it's made to be dirty, and you have all these stupid rules that have been heaped on top of rules to restrict any kind of bodily contact among teenagers, and in the church and in the schools and in the college, riding closely, tightly packed buses with bodies close to each other, and with teenagers and children in their adolescence rubbing bodies against each other for sometime as long as 2 or 3 hours on a given Sunday. It opens up a can of worms of behavior, and there's been constant stream of allegations of fondling and accidental touching of children that has permeated, and there was never any time given for these workers to have any restraint or show any propriety. We were encouraged in our bus workers meetings, to give sugar to these little kids and to kiss them and to hug them and to develop a close bodily contact. And again, it was all outwardly cloaked in sincerity and showing love and affection, but for young men primarily, and sometimes young women that have had their sexuality repressed, this gave them a ready available source of young people and children to fondle and to play with and to sexually get sexual arousal from.
Now, you said that when Jack Hyles on the pastor's schools parades these teenagers and so on up there, wouldn't you like to touch their body? Do you feel is it possible that he has had pedophile activity down through his life and ministry with the pornography that he's been reading?
It really reveals the mind of the man. And on the tape that I'm sending you will hear his own voice. He tries to defend himself by saying, "Well, I'm too old for that." Well, you're not too old for that. He always tried to.
How old is Jack Hyles?
He is 67 now. But again, there was always this even from the pulpit, this constant reminder of the sacred parts and the bodies of the little girls. We're now the temple of the Holy Spirit, and I'm just praying that, like the high priest of old, that was the only man that could come into the temple. I pray that only one man will come into the bodies of these young girls. There was that constant sexual innuendo, and again, you have to understand the purpose for all this is that Jack Hyles himself has a polluted mind. And not only that, but he encourages sexual, downfall from preachers and from his own members.
Encourages sexual downfall in what way?
Oh, yes.
In what way?
Because, Dr. Waite, for several reasons. Number one is that he can then jump and be the knight, on a shining armor, riding on a white horse, coming to the rescue of the fallen sinner. But not only that, but secondly, he encourages, and I know in my case, when he was trying to, at one time, to convince me that I had homosexual tendencies, he would pry all the way to my childhood and ask graphic and specific questions. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you ever want to have to do? Did you ever have any thoughts about doing this and that? And the idea is to have these people confess all this to him. And once they had confessed it to him, then he had the control over them, because he could hold this over their heads and threaten, with exposure. If
and blackmail, in a sense. Did he ever name any boys or men that you allegedly have had homosexual relations with, Vic?
No.
Yet he charged you with homosexuality. How did that stack up with the facts and with the truth, then?
It didn't. It didn't. It was just he did when he stole my wife's affection. He spent months and months trying to convince me that I was sexually dysfunctional. And one of the things that he worked on the hardest is to convince me that I had homosexual tendencies. And he did quite a number on me, Dr. Waite, because there for a while I did not know what I was, because he had built all these doubts into my mind. I mean, I wasn't walking right, I wasn't talking right, my gestures were not, and when you have total confidence in this great man of God and he starts questioning your sexuality, it becomes a very serious matter. And so
he's able to make even the strongest person doubt.
Even the strongest, and I cannot tell you, except for the grace of God, he did not break me. But he could very well have, and I know a lot of people that confess to things like that simply just to stop that relentless harangue.
Now you say he tries to make marriages break up. You mean he encourages divorces?
Yes.
And why does he do that?
Again, as a matter of control, as a matter of power, he would boast to me often. He would say about John Colson, his associate pastor, who was my best friend, and Elaine Colson. He would just snap his fingers, and say, "Well, I could get those two to break up tomorrow if I wanted to." It's a matter of power. It's a matter of and one of the things that was so very obvious with Jack Hyles is that he enjoyed flaunting this power. He would, the fact that I'm right here in the middle of this great church, but I can snap my fingers and get these people to do anything. A number of occasions when my marriage broke up, he repeatedly told me, he said, "Vic, if you ever need a woman for sex, let me know and I'll take care of it."
Where would he get these women?
From within the membership of his church.
He knew of some that would cooperate?
Oh, sure.
How does that stack up with morality and decency on his part or any Christian's part?
There was no decency. There was no morality. The only decency, the morality was in writing volumes and volumes of rules by which our children were governed in our schools and in their behavior. But it was all for public record to convince the whole world how virtuous and how pure we are. And that has transcended itself into his ministry. Case in point, at first it was soul winning, and then it became confrontational soul winning. First it was separation, biblical separation separation. Then it became ecclesiastical separation, and then it became secondary separation. In other words, the number of rules were simply to convince that I am purer than my neighbor. And it was all for show and tell, and those rules, unfortunately, were enforced selectively.
You say in the schools, he's got a number of schools connected with his operation, does he? High school,
yes,
grade school?
High school, a grade school, and a college.
And a college. Has immorality been prevalent or rampant in either or any of those schools that he's supposedly in charge of?
Dr. Waite, I have witnesses that have come to me with horrible stories of school teachers having sex with their students. I've been told of homosexual liaison. I've been talked of lesbian relationship among faculty. I've ran the gamut.
Is this in the school, high school,
all of
grade school, college, all of them?
All of them.
So it's a cesspool of iniquity, you would say, in a sense.
Yes. And now getting back,
yes.
Getting back to our train of thought regarding the pedophile behavior.
Yes.
Adultery is already old stuff. Swapping husband and wives is already old stuff. The Catholic priests do it. I mean, it's common. There's no shock to it. Homosexuality, lesbianism is already old stuff. Incest, Jack Hyles has repeatedly said, that's the next wave of sexual immorality. He's forever barked about that. I've got sermons that I could send you copies of where he just forever harangues about incest. Now you see we're into pedophile behavior because now we have produced young people that are the fruit of his ministry, and they've already experimented with sex. They were experimented with drugs. They were experimented with any kind of immorality. And that depravity that Paul talks about in Romans chapter 1 has reached the pedophile stage. And I, for the life of me, do not understand what psychological forces, except to say that it's demonic forces, that force these people into molesting children. And unfortunately, the problem is not just sexual stimulation, but actually brutalizing and torturing these precious children. And this is so graphically described and testified about in the documentary that you'll be getting in a few days.
Now, let me ask you this. If in the course of your investigations and so on, you uncover factually improvable, for instance, incestuous relations on the part of Jack Hyles with any of his family members, or pedophile activity on Jack Hyles' part with some of these teenagers or young children and so on and so forth, will you release that, or will you shut up about it and keep quiet if you should find solid evidence in that?
Dr. Waite, I can answer that question in this way, is that I believe in my heart we're commanded in the Bible to fight against the rulers of the darkness. And we're in a spiritual battle, and I know that a lot of people have different hobby horses and different issues that people fight, and I respect people for whatever causes that they have. My own personal, and this is not what Jack Hyles did to me personally, and I want to make that very clear. When my wife divorced me, she basically did me a great favor. Even though I never remarried, I'm still single. I have desired to remarry, but I have enjoyed the company of my children, and I've enjoyed, this time of healing. And my book has been a very great healing process. It's a book of hope. It's given a lot of people hope that there is a life after a cultish kind of a situation.
What year was that when she divorced you?
She was 1986.
1986.
And
is she remarried at all?
Sir?
She's not remarried either?
No.
Either of you. All right, go ahead.
So you have been.
Your book has been a help to people.
God has really laid it on my heart to reveal the horrible immoral cesspool that exists in the highest echelons of fundamentalism.
You don't get much encouragement, or do you, from lay people or from pastors, or which?
I get a lot of encouragement from the wounded and the victims.
Mm-hmm.
I live with them. I live with the children of the ministry that had wrecks after wrecks in their lives, where children have trashed all faith in God, and families that have been devastated.
Are you dealing with those people
on a daily basis?
Daily basis. Are you employed now, or retired, or what?
I for the last 6 months, I worked for the 6 months. I've just been existing. For the first time in my life, I have not been employed the last 6 months. There's been so much going on. The documentary in Michigan took an awful lot of my time.
You contributed to it, did you?
Extensively.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I really have concluded that the polluted waters have a source or an origin. There is that one sewer line that pollutes the stream. There's the source of the pollution that has inoculated of the width and the depth of fundamentalism. It originates in Hammond, Indiana. And that Jack Hyles singularly is the most evil man that preys on innocent victims. And not only that, but replicates himself in the lives of pastors that come to pastor school, and his ministerial students that come out of Hyles Anderson College.
How can you explain the flock that goes to the pastor school for these last 30 years, as you mentioned? How many total arrive there? Is it increased, decreased, or about the same? For instance, this last school.
I remember back in the heydays of the early '80s, where we would have on average pastor school, average attendance would be as high as 8,000, possibly more delegates.
And what do we have now?
Well, you're talking to a man that knows how to get a true count, because I was involved in all this almost on a weekly basis. And I have followed this very carefully, and I can attest to the fact that he is fortunate now to have 2,000 delegates at pastor school.
In 1993, in that area.
That's correct.
91, 2, and 3.
That is correct, and I can
2,000 or less.
I can show you how, and it's all a matter of public record. I mean, it's not, I can't go to these things.
Have some of the pastors seen through this chicanery and evil from this?
Well, a lot have. A lot have, but the group that I have had the least support from, and this is the one that this is what I find totally incredible, Dr. Waite, is that the men in leadership, the Dr. Curtis Hudsons, the Dr. Bob Grays, the Bob Joneses, the people of that stature have all been strangely quiet. The Jerry Falwells, the Curtis Hudsons, the people like Dr. E.L. Bynum, and the people that send the right periodicals, the people in some of the association, like the Conservative Baptists and the General Association and the Southwest Baptists.
Now, Brother Bynum, I believe, has had several articles, has he not, on the Hyles?
I think he has, but I'm saying I have not been able to communicate with these people.
I see.
And they have been strangely, except of course in Dr. Bynum's is the exception, and of course Dr. Sumner is the great exception. But other than that, except for reporting factually, certain aspects of this whole scandal, there's been no concerted effort to take Titus chapter 1, to heart and rebuke them sharply before all, that others may be strengthened in the faith.
That would be 1 Timothy 5, 19 and 20, that area.
Correct.
Rebuke them sharply. Rebuke them sharply, and also the elders that sin, rebuke before all, that others may fear. So you have both the Titus and the 1 Timothy 5, 19 and following.
That is correct. And
now,
that's the one admonition in the Scriptures that has been totally neglected. The other one, of course, is the matter of church discipline in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 or 7, is it? That has been totally neglected.
Chapter 5, that's right.
Yeah, that has been totally neglected. And also, I maintain that one of the most important scriptures is that is that the commandment in Scripture is not to have any fellowship with fornicators.
Uh-huh.
And also the whole issue of separation.
Uh-huh.
It's being preached about, that it's being preached as an ecclesiastical separation of somebody, that preaches for somebody that's not quite agreeable in doctrine, should not have any fellowship with.
But not personal and holiness separation.
That's right. And also, for some reason, everybody is concerned with men outside of the Baptist group. Namely, people like forever Billy Graham is getting beat up, and John MacArthur and Chuck Swindoll, and I'm sure there are good bases for criticism of these men, but these writers and these accusers of these men have disqualified themselves because they will not tackle the issue in their own camp.
Why do you think that is, Vic?
One reason, and that is again a scriptural reason, and that is that there is no fear of God.
Uh-huh.
It says
the fear of man bringeth the snare.
The fear of God, and they're not, and they're fearful of man rather than be fearful of the one that will send the body and soul in hell.
Uh-huh. How do you explain these people that are antagonistic towards you and others who name names and expose sin and wickedness? You feel that you have biblical injunctions for this. Why are people against this? Why do they rail against you and others for this,
well,
do you think?
Again, the one thing that I have been most accused of is number one, is that they've been all inoculated with this thought that you should not raise your hand against God's anointed.
Uh-huh.
And my answer is, scripturally, the whole book of Malachi was written by a layman.
Uh-huh.
And the whole book of Malachi, pertaining to tithing and unfaithfulness and everything else, was directed towards the priesthood of the day.
Uh-huh.
So, in other words, if the ministers and the preachers themselves are not able to police themselves, I believe it is the responsibility of godly and separated and concerned laymen and laity to deal with this thing.
Uh-huh.
There's still the doctrine of the priesthood of the believer.
Yes.
And I don't see any distinction.
In other words, if the preachers are too silly, or not silly, but scared and frightened of their own positions and jobs to expose evil, the layman, you feel, should rise up and do that.
Of course.
To keep the purity.
And the problem here is that one little layman stood up against the greatest man of the day. And since the days of J. Frank Norris and people like that, the authority of the preacher has not been challenged by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They have appointed themselves as men of God. They have appointed themselves as messengers of God, and we're to sit and listen and shut up and not respond.
Mm-hmm.
And Malachi 3:16 commands us, they that love the Lord spake often one to another.
Mm-hmm.
And we are to communicate, and there has to be a dialogue, and there has to be a discussion, and there should be a proving and a discussion of the doctrines of the faith, and not for it to be a one-dimensional and one-sided a flow of information from the pulpit down to the laity.
Did not Matthew 23 and the Lord Jesus' excoriation of the hypocrites and the Pharisees exemplify his attitude toward false religious leaders?
Well, the whole issue of false religion, of false teachers, is mentioned in every book in the New Testament, from Matthew to Revelation. And when Jesus in Luke chapter 10 or 11 somewhere in there, a whole mob of people came to the shore to see Jesus, and there were so many of them they actually stumbled over each other. And what a time to have a big revival meeting! And Jesus turned to the disciples and said, "Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees." He was more concerned for the separation and the purity of his disciples than he was for thousands of people that came to hear him preach. And therein lies the problem, is that the soul winning has taken precedence over discipleship. And that we run them through the mill. And what is unfortunate in Hammond, and I've been there, I shook hands with tens of thousands of these people. And Dr. Waite, one of the haunting fears that I have is that thousands and thousands of these people that came down the aisle of the First Baptist Church and took my hand and said they were saved will end up in hell because they were not given the plan of salvation properly.
What false plan were they given, Vic?
It's a diluted gospel.
What can you describe it to our listeners?
I would be happy to. Our plan of salvation was a 30-second capsule, vitamin capsule. Romans 3:10, Romans 3:23, Romans 6:10, and Romans 10:13. And you're a sinner. Yeah, if you're a sinner, you're going to go to hell. But Jesus died for you. If you say a little prayer, you're going to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm. And are these the type of the thousands that he's claimed to be
and these
converted?
Are the thousands that he claimed to have been saved.
What is his total count? Is it so much a year? What's his total? What is he saying now he's led to Christ? Do you remember approximately?
I mean, by now it's in the hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. And you're wondering whether or not these people will be in hell because of the diluted gospel.
Well,
that is
again, Dr. Waite, if Jack Hyles has been in Hammond for 30 years,
mm-hmm.
and he's had 20,000, 30,000. Well, he had 100,000. He had more people in church allegedly one Sunday than the whole population of Hammond, Indiana. He had several times that he claimed to have 100,000 people in church. And my question is, where are they? And the second question I have is, where are the churches? There should have been by now in the Chicago area several hundred Sound Fundamental Baptist churches. If even a fraction of these people. But I have even a more damaging statistic than that. And that is this. In one phase of the ministry, the First Baptist Church has an average of about 100 deacons. And the last one that I served on was in 1988. And I did a survey for Dr. Sumner to determine what percentage of the deacon board, after 27 years of his ministry in Hammond, what percentage of these deacons were homebred converts of his ministry. People that have been won to the Lord, nurtured in the gospel, matured enough spiritually where they would qualify to become deacons of the First Baptist Church. The percentage was less than 2%.
Less than 2%.
Yes.
So most of them are from other ministries.
Most of the growth of the church in the 60s and 70s were people like me that were unhappy with the deadness and the dryness of our churches coast to coast, and saw something which was vibrant and alive and like moth going to a light. We all immigrated from all over the country to Hammond. And most of the leaders today in the church are people that have come from anywhere.
I see. That's sort of a mecca.
It's sort of a mecca. But the product is not there. If soul winning builds churches, we should have a huge number of people that are serving the Lord today faithfully. After 24 and a half years in the bus ministry, driving a bus faithfully and bringing in anywhere from 200 to who knows how many people over the years, I can claim perhaps 15 or 20 people that are serving the Lord today.
Out of all those hundreds?
Out of all those years and years of bus ministry. It's a failure, Dr. Waite. The whole system has failed tragically because we do not. First of all, in our soul winning, there's not a word about repentance. There's no word about a change of direction where there have to be fruits of the Spirit and a changed life and whatever. It was just a constant, like a conveyor belt of people going out, coming in one end and dropping off the other end. And it's a damnable indictment on the whole ministry.
Now, what progress has been made in this deacon of Jack Hyles, who's been accused in the court and found guilty, I guess, of pedophile activity of some sort in the school, or in the college, in the church, I guess.
Today is the 19th. The case has dragged on for 2 years.
What's his name, the deacon?
A.V., 2 initials.
A.V. Ballinger. B-A-L-L?
E-N-G-E-R.
E-N-G-E-R, all right. That's the deacon.
And he used to be sentenced on Thursday or Friday of this week.
What was his charge again against him for our listeners that might not be up on it?
A.B. Ballinger was convicted, tried, and found guilty of sexually molesting a 6-year-old girl in the Sunday school department of First Baptist Church.
What is Jack Hyles' relation? Is he incensed against this terrible sin of molestation of children?
Well, he publicly claims it to be a crime worthy of capital punishment. But he has steadfastly pronounced A.B. Ballinger not guilty and has demanded that cases like that be tried in the, by the membership of the church and not in the civil courts.
How old was this young girl?
6 or 7 years old.
6 or 7 years. And how old is Ballinger?
He's in his early 50s.
Early 50s. Now, I understand that there's, in this film of the Detroit television studio, a particular church that is mentioned repeatedly. What is that church? Am I right in that, or am I wrong?
Well, Dr. Waite, there are 7 churches that the investigators have discovered around the country.
Are there any that are the fruit of Jack Hyles' ministry? That
all these 7 churches were pastored or are being pastored by graduates of Hyles Anderson College. And the one in Michigan was an extremely brutal one because the pastor...
You say 6 or 7 churches?
Well, sir?
6 or 7 churches?
That is correct.
Okay, go ahead.
The one in Michigan is a church called North Sharon Baptist Church in Chelsea, Michigan, which is right outside of Ann Arbor. And it's pastored by Bill Winninger, who is a graduate of Hyles Anderson College, and the associate pastor is Tim Leonards. And on Thanksgiving, I happen to be in Ann Arbor. My only brother lives in Plymouth, Michigan, right outside of Ann Arbor, and I go to see him every Thanksgiving for the family reunion. And I walked into their house and found a stack of newspapers, Detroit Free Press and Detroit News, with banner headlines about a Baptist church in Chelsea where a deacon and associate pastor were indicted on a total of 30 counts of sodomizing children from age 3 to 10.
And these are the fruit of Jack Hyles?
This is the fruit of Jack Hyles' ministry.
Age 3 to 10?
Yes. And there were 60-some cases investigated, and 30 charges were drawn against the associate pastor, Tim Leonards, and the deacon, Mark Fuller. The deacon's charges were so severe that the man has been in jail held without bail since before Thanksgiving of 1992.
And these are depicted in this documentary?
Yes.
Was the pastor also involved?
The pastor is involved because Pastor stonewalled the investigation.
Has he been charged with pedophile activity?
The pastor has not been. But again, there are cases that are being drawn, which eventually I think are going to draw the pastor. The problem with the Ballinger case is that this is a criminal case, which is to charge A.B. Ballinger with the actual crime. But there's another case that's going through the court simultaneously, and that's the civil case, in which the church and the pastor, Jack Hyles, and the deacon board are all being charged for negligence, and there is a large monetary sum that is being, demanded by the parents of the little girl. And so similar cases are sure to come out of this thing in Michigan also, which will drag the pastor into this whole situation.
What is Jack Hyles' attitude toward the Winninger or Leonard or the deacon, Mark Fuller or Fowler, whatever his name is?
Well, his attitude is very simple, Dr. Waite. It's disgusting, and it's in the documentary. During the pastor school in March of 1993, all 3 men, the pastor and the associate pastor and the deacon. Well, the deacon is in jail, so his wife came with the little children, and they were all given the Hyles Freedom Award, which is an annual award given at pastor school for a pastor who has basically faced the onslaught of the secular press or government, against soul winning. And so these men were given awards and applauded at pastor school for. And of course, the delegates and the people were not told what the problem was. They were just told that these were soul winners trying to get little children saved, and Satan was trying to destroy, the bus ministry.
So he awarded these
these people the Hyles Freedom Award, in conjunction with David Gibbs. David Gibbs was the one with the Christian Law Association who was also a participant in the awards. Now, not only that, Dr. Waite, but I also have...
Does David Gibbs know about all these child molestations?
Oh, yes. And not only that, but to give you how Jack Hyles feels about them, there have been sermons preached around the country in which Dr. Hyles compares these three reprobates in Michigan to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego going to the fire.
Isn't that something?
So that tells you of this massive, hysterical... the full-page ads have been run. Our local newspapers have been filled with letters, and there's been campaigns of telephone calls and intimidation, basically declaring to the whole world that these men are just trying to win souls and that they're being attacked by Satan and that they're innocent. And the whole crescendo of this public relations kind of a thing. It's all orchestrated by Jack Hyles.
Is it your belief and understanding from what you know about the Christian faith that Jack Hyles is redeemed, or do you feel that he's unredeemed and like Antichrist, an actor?
Dr. Waite, I say it very advisedly, and this is coming from a man that saw him and watched him for nearly 30 years. I was with him countless hours. I'll let the listeners make the final decision, but I will give you these facts: that in those 30 years of intimate time spent with this man, I never one time that I recall, heard him say one word or never open the Bible and share a Bible truth with me. In all those years, I will testify to that without any shadow of doubt, I had never one time in all my travels and all my time with him ever saw him witness to anybody about the Lord Jesus. In all that time, I never one time saw him, on his knees. We say, Vic, I have a burden, let's pray about it. The only time I saw him pray was for the meal in the restaurant. So privately, we talked about the baseball teams and about the football teams and the latest ethnic jokes and levity and idle talk. But in all those years, I have never one time prayed with him unless I had a specific prayer that I asked him to pray for something regarding, my family or my own personal needs or whatever. He's not a spiritual man, and he does not manifest privately any fruits of the Spirit. And my own personal assessment of the man is that he is the ultimate deception of Satan. A man that was brought on the scene as the champion of fundamentalism and soul winning and separation and standards and defender of the King James Bible and all the other good things that we hold dear in our lives. And he assumed the position of a Baptist minister, which is a mainline, quote, Protestant denomination, which is basically associated with the fundamental or the conservative or the biblical standards of what denominations are today. And he preached enough truth and enough of the symbols of true Christianity to make himself credible, and came on as the savior of the world and savior of America, and he was going to build the largest churches in America and help stem the tide of communism and whatever. And in the process of doing that, he has corrupted and injected into the bloodstream of fundamentalism a virus, to me, that's deadlier than the AIDS virus. So I look at him as being the ultimate deception of Satan. Which tells me that these are the last days, where even the elect, even the theologians or the Bible believing,
preachers and laymen,
were hooked right into this thing. And one of the most incredible thing to me is that the big shots in denominations and in our Baptist circles to this day will not face with the reality of what's happening.
Have any of the Baptist groups or leaders been willing to write editorials and publicize Jack Hyles' foibles and
no, sir.
evils?
The only magazine that published it extensively was the Biblical Evangelist, and I appreciate you reminding me that Dr. E.L. Bynum did write an article or two. But other than that,
have you had any call you, any leaders? For instance, now you're a member of what kind of a Baptist church are you going to now?
I go to Bethel Baptist Church in Maryville, Indiana, which is a GRB church.
Maryville, Indiana?
Yes.
At GRB. Your father was connected with
my father was a native Ukrainian missionary to the Ukrainians under Baptist Mid Missions.
Are you Ukrainian by
yes,
birth?
I am. That's my nationality. We're Ukrainian by nationality.
I see.
And I.
So you're familiar? He was under Baptist mission. What'd you say?
The eastern states, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, has a rather number of Ukrainian Baptist churches, with which my dad was associated.
I see. Have you found any interest in helping you to publicize this terrible, horrendous thing on the part of any of the GARB leaders, regular Baptist leaders?
No. Nobody.
Paul Tassel or any of the people?
No, sir. No, sir. I've talked to many of them personally, and there's never been any opportunity for me to, or for Royal Glover, my attorney friend who published a book alongside of mine. Nobody was willing to take ads for the book, and nobody has reviewed them.
You asked for.
There was one GERB associational paper in Minnesota that carried just a one-paragraph little book review of my book, but other than that, nobody would touch it with a 10-foot pole. None of the Christian book publishers would publish the book because it was too controversial. So I had to publish it under private
name.
Well, there's been no. There's only one. This issue has been on the national spotlight since 1986, basically, when I went before the Deacon Board. And to this day, I've had only 2 invitations to come to speak to any group around the country. The preachers are very, very gun shy. They won't have anything to do with me.
What were those 2 invitations, if you mind?
The one was to by Dr. Greg Dixon in Indianapolis, to his group organization called the Unregistered Churches Coalition.
I think that's the tapes that I heard from you there.
Yeah. And I also received a church an invitation to speak to a church in Columbus, Ohio, which also is in some fashion associated with this movement.
I see.
But other than that, I have written countless letters. For many years, I would write to the pastors of the churches where Jack Hyles preached and warn them basically, to take Matthew 18 literally and get measured for a millstone because they might be hanging one around their necks. And Dr. Waite, it's been like throwing rocks into a hollow well. Nothing ever came back. The preachers are basically, I sense, very, very gun shy and stay away from me. And I realize that I have basically challenged the authority of the ministry, and I can understand that.
You're not at war with all ministers of every stripe and kind. No. That's your charge against you. Is that what they're trying to say? Some of them.
Well, they're basically the basic tone of the replies that I get is that they nitpick at something and I say, well, this doesn't sound true, and how can we believe everything else you say? And my basic answer has been is that I am not trying to convince anybody. I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. My issue and my whole effort is to expose Jack Hyles because I consider him to be the source of all this pollution. And again, may I say for the record, it has nothing to do what he's done to me. I escaped from it, and I could have very happily just moved away and lived in total obscurity. I have 2 children that love the Lord. I have their trust and their confidence. may I say also for the record that my wife has totally severed all contact with my children.
Is that right?
And she has not had contact with them going on 4 years. I mean, none whatsoever. She will not respond to letters and to Christmas gifts and to Mother's Day gifts or anything. So, so that gives you some idea as to the depravity of the whole situation.
It certainly is depravity. Now, we're coming up to an hour and 51 minutes in your discussion and interview, Brother Nischik. I certainly appreciate this very lengthy time that you shared with our listeners on the taped interview, and we have your permission to spread this far and wide as we see fit.
You have my permission to spread it as wide as possible, and the only thing that I want to say for the record, and this is very important for me, is that, Dr. Waite, I am not out bashing preachers.
Good.
I am not out to try to destroy fundamentalism. Fundamentalism is self-destructing. And this matter, it's a spiritual battle, and my Bible says in Hebrews that those that sin willfully will incur the fiery wrath of a righteous God. And my ministry is found in Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 20 and 21, where it says that we are to warn the believers. And that I don't want the blood of people that would claim to be ignorant. We are commanded to warn the believers, not just the unsaved, but the believers, of any false doctrine, of any false misconception that has been permeated. And that my argument is that unless the body of Christ and our Baptist believers as a group wake up and deal with the issue in their own camp, you can write an epitaph to fundamentalism. It's dead, and I don't want it to die.
No.
And I love the Lord, and I wait for His coming. And what this has taught me more than anything else is, in the absence of support from the brethren that I thought I would get, I have learned really to trust my Lord.
Even more.
I love Him, and I in the Scriptures constantly. I still adhere and study my Bible faithfully, and it's an old Ryrie Study Bible in King James, and I will stay with it till I die. Of course, I use other commentaries and whatever, and my faith is very sound, and I'm not a bitter man, but I see the body of Christ, in dire straits. And I see immorality in the pulpits coast to coast, and I see Christians being destroyed. I see little children having their moms and dads divorce each other. I see families being shredded, and all I can do is just do whatever I can to sound a warning to the believers. And that's the mission.
I appreciate this interview of Brother Vic Nischik from Munster, Indiana. Maybe you can come to the Independent Baptist Fellowship meeting that's, I'm sure you've perhaps heard of it, Indianapolis, Indiana. The Dean Burgon Society, Indianapolis, Indiana. That's July 21st and 22nd. I'll send you some materials on that. Maybe
I would be very happy.
That's in defense of traditional Bible texts, but it's I think it might be of interest in fellowship. What title or titles would you think would be appropriate for this interview? Can you give me 2 or 3 punchy titles that you think would attract interest so we could spread it far and wide in our readership?
You're basically you're talking to a man who was on the inside.
Right.
I mean, I'm not just did some research.
Right. Inside man.
I was in on the inner sanctum of the inner sanctum of the operation here in Hammond. So I think it's a story of you cannot you have to stress the cultishness of the system. We have to stress the fact that the only people that can truly assess a situation like that are people that have been in it and come out of it with their sanity and with their spirituality intact. And I give praise to my Heavenly Father for having sustained me and kept me spiritually alive and has restored my spiritual balance. So it's basically an insider story of a monstrous cult.
Insider story of a monstrous cult. Well, that's a good title.
And of course, the title of my book is probably as descriptive as anything as to the title. Of course, came from the little children's book, The Wizard of Oz, which is basically smoke and mirrors.
Yes, smoke and mirrors, and that's what we have.
And that's what we have.
Are there anything else you'd like to say very hurriedly before we bring this to a conclusion?
Appreciate you talking to you, brother. And,
well, I certainly am glad for this.
If we can salvage a few lives out of this thing, I think God will be pleased with that.
Yes, well, we certainly.
And that's the whole intent. It's not an exercise in hurting the body of Christ. It's an exercise in trying to restore a body of Christ to spiritual health.
Well, that's a very commendable thing. We'll do all we can in the Bible for Today to further that cause, and we look forward to the documentary that you're going to be sending. And also, I know our listeners will look forward to listening to this interview. I appreciate your willingness. It's now 11:07 p.m. here on the 19th of June, Saturday evening, 1993. And this is Dr. D.A. Waite, Director of the Bible for Today at 900 Park Avenue, Collingswood, New Jersey. And speaking to Brother Vic Nischik of Munster, Indiana. Thank you very much, Brother Vic, and we'll sign off. Let me just stop the tape, and then we'll say goodbye personally.